Hello and welcome. I'm some jerk on the internet, and we're going to do the thing we usually do around this place because what else do you do with a lol cow but milk it for laughs? Watch some of the garbage being put out by everyone's favorite creationist nut job, Kent Hovind. In this case, we're going to go to his Whack and Atheist from not this past week, or this week that we're finishing up. It's Friday now, so not Wednesday's video, but the previous Wednesday's video. Because I didn't really take too much of a look at it. I thought it's 50 some minutes, it's going to be boring, whatever. Because Hovind really has not been putting out stuff worth a dang even for ridicule. It's been way too much of his garbage. So, yeah, I came back to this one and thought about it after it was posted in Discord again in conjunction with some other videos and thought maybe I really should God, yeah, I always say something weird, milking Kent. No, we milk the lol cows for laugh. It's the status that we milk, not the individual. Does that make sense? That way you don't think about, milking what the fuck, man. Ugh. Mammals. It's weird. Uh It could be a monitoring. Wrap your head around that one. Anyway, I'm extremely fucking tired. I know that's a running joke now. It's like, yes, Chris, you're always tired. We know. Yes, it's a problem. I have a chronic fatigue issue. I really would hope to get it looked at one day. Anyway, no, excuse me. In all seriousness, this video though, sorry, this video looks like it might actually be worth. Now that I've taken the week off, a more detailed look into. So, if you're new here and don't know the kinds of garbage comedy to expect, my audience presenting that milk joke earlier let you know exactly where things stand around here. We can be incredibly intellectual, analytical, and just eloquent when we want to be. But that's just it. We don't always want to be. Sometimes it's better to just be goofy, to have fun with something. And in the case of Hovind, our critiques of such are usually a 50-50 process. It's halfway properly reacting to the falsities that he claims, and the other half is just ridiculing the man because he's a pathetic scumbag on all fronts possible. That little disclaimer, that statement being made. Let's if I can click on the right damn thing, there we go. Got the end of his stupid little intro, one of the stupid AI things that Joseph or somebody made, and he's gonna watch it. Watch it. Here's the entire way this video is gonna go. Hey man, Joseph, did you make that? Wow, with AI? Wow, that's really super-de duper. Anyway, I'm Ken Hovind here at Dinosaur Adventureland, Genesis Baptist Church in Lenox, Alabama, 70 miles north of Pensacola, where God gets the glory instead of his stupid evolution religion, where right-wing chicken-eating fundamentalists, blah, blah, blah. I enable pedophiles, that's not a joke either, all right? He's friends with a convicted child molester. So let's just get that out of the way. I'm going to start with the petty shit. Um Anyway, where was I in mocking his intro? Let's see. I need to move that day over. Anyway, I'm going to read some random Bible stuff and talk about how people hate me and they say I'm a tax protester. Anyway, here's this random dumbass, and we're going to look through some stuff. That's about how the intro is going to go. So let's see how right I am.
Of years.
Hey, man, Joseph, you put that together?
I mean, any of us who watched this jerk off could have guessed that, but come on. No, I had not watched this. He says that for every one of these stupid things that he thinks Joseph is an incredible person for typing something into a goddamn AI generation service that they're probably fucking paying for. Wow. Yeah. I love that shit too, where people want you to think they're something special because they pay for some kind of service, because they have money to pay for something that is otherwise useless. Wow. Goes hand in hand with those people who It is common enough in the gaming scene and several hobbies I've been in. Passion doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much you care about these things, wish to know about them, wish to appreciate them. No, all that matters is that you can go off and buy all the collectibles, buy the games on release. Go, for like arcade games I used to play, travel across the country and hit up these rare machines and stuff. Oh yeah, they imported this one in from Japan. It's the gold DDR cabinet. There's only like 7 of them in the country. Yeah. Okay, that's great. That doesn't mean you care more about the game than me. And that's why I no longer participate in that community. One of many reasons. Plus, I'm fucking 41. I can't be playing DDR like that anymore. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah, happier thoughts than watching Hoven, but god damn did I nail it.
That's almost with a raise. That's incredible.
He's made that joke like 7 times too.
Amen. Well, good evening, folks. Ken Hovind, get my slides up there, brother. We're on all kinds of channels on Rumble, on Facebook, and let's see, X, and our own app, Ken Hovind TV, and Instagram, and TikTok.
I'm gonna remind you, you're on all kinds of multiple different platforms, Kent, not channels. Also, yeah, play the persecution card. In case they take us off one, you can find us on the other. Because, we don't know how to play by the rules of these services that we choose to use. And when we get taken off for violating their terms of service, we feel we're being persecuted. But when people break the law, like not quite having their immigration status, which is a fucked up nightmare of a thing to handle in this country, right up to snuff, or even if they do, suddenly they deserve to be treated like absolute shit. Well, they're illegal aliens. It's like, yeah, and there's a big difference between jaywalking and activities which cannot be mentioned. But you wish to treat the person whose offense is the equivalent of like a simple, tiny basic offense to something that is world devastating by comparison. And some of you might think, what the hell is this hyperbole? Especially if you're a Hovendite who's watching this garbage. Well, it is garbage, but if you're watching this, watching us watch this garbage is where I was going with things. And you won't understand what an analogy is and how they're actually used. But what does it have to do with immigration stuff? Well, this is something that the right seems to love, is that, especially the religious right, is that they love to pretend they're persecuted and that people are targeting them objectively when all they do is get fuck around and find out, realize they can't play well with others and get punished for it. But when actual violations of personal rights are done, they're all for it. See, it's pointing out the hypocrisy through analogy. If y'all can understand this stuff, you might not be regressive fuckwads who constantly vote for the worst people and then have to constantly cope to pretend that you ain't getting fucked over just like everyone else. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Hovind.
Come on, join. We're going to give the atheists a break tonight. We're not going to whack an atheist.
Then why is it titled Whack an Atheist? The goddamn title up there, you can see it on the fucking, right by my little QR code, which you should probably scan with your phone. It'll go to a nice little page where if you click the right buttons and put in some information, currency will mysteriously appear in my PayPal account. And that goes towards me being able to afford goods and services that I need. Like, I'm still working with the broken headset. And yes, people donated to cover that. Greatly appreciate it. I just haven't had the opportunity to actually change the damn thing out. I had to buy a box fan finally. So, yeah. Don't you love life? It keeps things interesting. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah. You titled it, Whack an Atheist. You have Joseph set this stuff up and he can't even do it right. He can't even fix these things. And this is later. The previous video we did where it was going to be something and it ended up being Noah. It was like an open mic, but instead it actually was not Noah. David, like part 82,000. Joseph fixed that later, I guess, because I commented on it, but he didn't fix this. And that's the shit I love. He always, when I bring up stuff, Joseph clearly pays attention to it and enacts those recommended changes. But you'll never give Lord Yamato the glory for his suggestions.
We're going to whack all of you at once.
No, thank you. No.
In the Bible, it says the scoffers in the last days would be willingly ignorant of the creation and the flood.
And we've been over this, Kent. Not only is it convenient that magic book full of absolute fantasy says people won't believe magic book full of fantasy, as if it's almost aware it was by the writers were almost aware that people wouldn't take this crap seriously. But ignorant means not knowing, not having had chance to know something. And growing up anywhere in the Western world, we've heard all your garbage, the garbage of all of your ilk nonstop our entire existences. Many of my audience believe this crap in one facet or another. So no one's ignorant. Doesn't mean what you think it means, and the point you're trying to make doesn't exist. Just straight up.
And the coming judgment of God. Talk about the flood here in Noah's Ark in just a minute. Okay, Dinosaur Adventureland. We're straight north of Pensacola.
Also, I have turned on that fan because I need air circulation in here. So if there is some added background noise like the old days pre-move, that's why.
70 miles in Lenox, Alabama. Come visit. Get right off the interstate at either exit and end.
Also, am I not right on the ball for everything he'd say? Maybe not in the exact order, but he's thrown out the Bible verse. He's mentioned the persecution in some facet or another. He's about to get to the where God gets the glory. He's getting into the where they're located crap.
Right there, middle of no place, Lenox, Alabama. Billy, did you see that car go by today? Yeah, that was exciting, wasn't it? We love it out here. Come in for.
Okay, Kent, seriously, jokes about how far in the sticks you are really don't get you anywhere. Those get old super fast. All your jokes are garbage, but man, those get old.
Breakfast and all the meals are free. Free cabin, spend the night. Stay too long, we'll put you to work. Okay, right there. Mailing address is Repton because we're in the middle of the sticks. Okay, the 3rd of June, 2026. Here we are, folks. Boot camp coming up next month. July 1st through the 5th. Come on. If you want to help support us, stay open for free. Join our 777 club. I like what you're doing. I'm going to donate $1 a day or whatever you can. We're just trying to win souls. DrDino.com has all the details. 10 years for free. 27 in Pensacola. So 37 years been open, spreading the gospel for free. I don't like fundraisers, but I've got a passion to get the gospel out. So we're building miniature models of Noah's Ark. RJ, well, never mind. It's too late now. I was going to have you go down and get mine out of the Ark again, but forget it. Okay. So we're building miniature models with the moon.
Kent, why don't you just keep one there on your desk or beside you, maybe weighing down your charts that you love to show so much, like you do all the other toys you keep at your desk, like a child? Also, what the fuck is that supporting the other end of it? He got some kind of like melon hanging out there? You think this melon just came from a dot of nothing exploding? Yeah.
Pools and the drogue stones hanging underneath. If you're going to donate $200, we can finish the Ark. We'll get you one of those. Okay, we're building.
I accidentally tapped my scroll wheel, and now it's like I'm not touching it. It just started doing that. Let's see what we can watch instead. GTA, but it's everything's Google translated. Spaceballs, and nope, not gonna watch Prince of Egypt. No interest whatsoever. How nuclear power works. There we go. TI 99 or co-op trolling on Symphony of the Night randomizer from Dragon Blitz and Dragon Blitz Daily YouTube channel. Yeah, all that stuff I'd rather watch than this. If you donate 200 or more before July 1st, we'll send you an autographed model of Noah's Ark. Wow. Something less than useless. Although, to be fair, if we pulled together, I'd get one. I'm just saying. I don't expect anyone to donate towards that. For one, I've got more important things to spend generously donated money on. I totally need a blob for the pool at the apartment complex. So, that'll be about $69,000. Yeah.
Building them now, the little models of it, like I showed earlier. Mount Ararat. Billy, remember when they dug the lake out down there by where the Ark is? They left behind 2 giant piles of mud from digging out the lake. I was driving down one day about a little over a year ago. I said, those two mountains look like Mount Ararat, less Ararat.
It just locked up like that.
Let's build us an Ark. So that's why we started building the Ark. So, Brother Scott, you've been over there. Come on, tell them that story. Tell us that story you told everybody. You told me earlier today. Froze up there, Joseph.
Okay, good. It was on Kent's end.
I'm used to that.
All right, I need to squeeze this way or this way or. Okay, Scott Tipton, you are.
Behold, a second goober has arrived in the land of Hovend.
This first time to visit here at Dinosaur Adventureland. And we sat outside my house and you told me an interesting story. You were, well, go ahead, take it away. Tell them everything you told me and more.
Okay. First of all, this is unprepared. I was not expecting to tell 8 to 10 million people my story.
Okay.
Okay.
You ain't talking to 8 or 10 million people. You're lucky that it's 8 to 10 people, dude. Hell, this, I mean, we can't just trust the metrics from just the YouTube channel that they kind of try to keep under the rug anyway.
I just was.
Oh, and autographed by Hovind himself, of course. And it goes great next to your Trump Bible and all the other things that your holy text specifically says to not have.
Happened to realize that I was vacationing next to Ken Hovind, had been an admirer of his.
You're an admirer of his, but you can't pronounce his fucking name right. What is it with people in this? I could understand someone like Cricky Blinder or Simon Dan having said Hovind originally, because one, they're in the fucking UK. One's an Englishman and one's a Welshman. And two, of course, not being too familiar with him. But people who follow these people and can't pronounce their name right, what the fuck? Also, God, if this doesn't look like the perfect image for him. Hovind doing his best Donald Trump impression, half passed out, and fucking wannabe Lex Luthor over here.
Videos and said I would come over here and tell him my story. And I have a story about the Noah's Ark findings. You can
that aren't real. And you know, something else funny is Hovind is hell-bent on saying, oh, it says the mountains of Ararat. It doesn't mean that Mount Ararat. It's just conveniently that mountain. But then they focus on that fucking mountain all the time. So it's like, so it is Mount Ararat in the Bible. Like, is it or is it not? Which is it, man? Because you're trying to make it sound like it's just any old mountain, but it happens to be the one that's called that. What?
And believe it or not, I'm just going to give you my testimony on it. And some of this information is secondhand, but I will try to back it up with as much data as I can.
Okay.
Okay. First of all, where this story begins is I was an Air Force officer, a combat controller stationed at McCord Air Force Base, Washington. And one day I get a call from my commander, and he goes out and he says, hey, Captain Tipton, I got some kind of archaeologist that just showed up here, and he wants a map expert, and you're probably the best guy I know of for this. Can you help him out? Okay.
I have several questions. Did he say Air Force originally? Because, and why is the military involved? None of this makes sense from a start, dude. Unless I just completely tweaked out and like missed something just out of the blue. Also, you got horns growing out your head, dog. Look at that shit.
Send him over. All right. So he comes over to my office, and this man who I'd never seen before shows up in his suit and tie, and he says, how do you do? I'm Edward Crawford, and 2 hours ago I was on my knees praying that I'd find a man that'd be able to help me with this, and I want to know if you're that man.
Jesus fucking Christ. This is the most made up bullshit I've heard all week. Just straight from the get-go, this is every bit of, I'm just throwing shit together. Look at this testimonial. Ooh, because that's the trick Hovind's apparently going with as a side gig here. Maybe he's had more in other videos. I don't know. By the way, the bastard supposedly has another honorary degree, so he's at 5 now. Woo! All of them equally fucking useless.
Okay, that's interesting.
Okay, yeah, he did say U.S. Air Force. Thank you. Yeah, you wouldn't be involved in You wouldn't be involved in anyone going anywhere. If you're based in Turkey, okay, your province is going to be the base and the air around the base. If you're a pilot or if you're involved in actual flight operations. Otherwise, yeah, you're not going to have any stuff for a random civilian to just go exploring places. You know who does have that jurisdiction, since we are talking about the nation of Turkey, is Turkey. Okay? Not the US Air Force. None of what you're saying makes any fucking sense, and you're opening it up with the most pathetic sounding, I'm totally real, guys, character possible. Christ, if you fuckers could at least try to tell a convincing story.
Introduction. I've never had that before. All right. So I said, sure, what do you got? And he just hands me a manila envelope. Okay, so I open it up. It is
Shit, the first name, he said it earlier, but I forget what it is now.
a single Landsat photograph taken in 1973. And I take a look at it and I said, okay, highly glaciated mountain, volcanic in origin. I can tell right off.
Station in Washington State. Okay, so he wasn't even there. What the fuck, man? So no, there would not be some magical military expedition over to Turkey just out of the blue, led by an Air Force guy. I think there's a lot of people, one, in all branches of the military that can read maps pretty damn well. I can think of quite a few divisions of both military and non-military government operational branches, organizations, what have you, that could read maps better than you would ever be trained to. But secondarily, again, I would think the host nation kind of handles that stuff, because that's actually how it fucking is. Because Turkey's very protective of this crap, because gullible idiots will pay to come see that garbage.
That it's not in the United States. And he says, how do you know that? And I said, well, all of our glaciated mountains are located mostly in forested areas. This is clearly a steppe environment. It could be desert, but I would say steppe because it looks like there's some agriculture in the area. I could see the faint glint of little husbandry sheds in the satellite photo. I could also make out various crop formations out there. And
oh, okay. So, see, the thing is, you told this story really shittily from the get-go, and what it is y'all are just looking at maps. Okay. Forgive me for not picking up on the context, but it was delivered much like a wet fart from the president when he goes and hides behind a pillar and just blasts ass for 25 fucking seconds because, Sleepy Joe was so horrible, but we can have a guy who's passed out constantly and has been shitting himself for decades now, who's also a convicted fucking felon and an adjudicated rapist, but, gotta own the libs. Where was I on again? Oh, yeah, your story fucking sucks. You're telling it shittily. I have no desire to pay attention. Try something hard. Try harder, man. And fuck, look at Hovind. He's looking at it like, oh, man, this is the coolest shit.
Watering irrigation systems. And there was one little town to the north that I could make out, but nothing very significant. So then I turned my attention to the center of this picture, which was the mountain.
And yeah, I'm not saying that any individual, in the military isn't damn good at reading maps. I've developed some decent map reading skills myself, just in what I can verify from stuff, if that makes sense. looking at things and compare, without, annotations and then actually trying to see what's going on. But that's, on a, hey, I can read a map, not I can do data analysis and tell, oh yeah, this is, these are fucking Soviet intermediate range missiles stationed in fucking Cuba. I'm not that skilled. But like CIA guys are going to be infinitely better at handling this kind of stuff than this dude ever would be. And once again, this all seems meaningless given that the area is documented in and of itself. And that if they're trying to talk about this as some kind of archaeological remains, which I think may be where he's going, just no. No, dude.
Self and start looking at it very closely. And one thing that caught my eye was there was just a little speck on this satellite photo that was a little more regular than it should have been. And it was sitting right in the batch of a bunch of glaciers. And
really, where is this photo? Why do I have a real shitty document that I can barely make out on Hoven's screen as the evidence of this stuff? We probably don't actually need to see these clods and all this wasted space on the right-hand side. Yeah, Joseph, here's a tip since you watch all my goddamn videos, you chicken shit bastard. Maybe all this dead space needs to go. Maybe we don't need to see these dumbasses during this, and maybe that should be maximized, okay? See my cursor right there, Joseph? Yeah, I'm sorry it's not green, but you might be able to see the movement there. Let me jangle the keys a bit. Jingle, jangle. Jingle, jangle. Hang on, here we go. Ooh, there you go, Joseph. You see my mouse cursor moving. Maybe that should be maximized, you dumb fuck.
And I said, well, this just seems sort of strange. It looks almost man-made, but...
Wow, what a surprise. The creationists think something natural looks artificial.
You don't build things.
At least I should say something that you would first presume to be natural. But even then, even if you don't, even if you are like, okay, yeah, this is a hut, it's like, okay, there are 1,000,001 reasons for it to have existed. But just because your story happens to be, look, there's mountains where some stupid ass floating box landed. Suddenly, there's Noah's home after the flood. By the way, have y'all seen those reports that the North Sentinelese are starting to construct buildings? Like they're putting in huts and stuff all over the place. Like at some point they put 2 and 2 together and realized, holy fuck. Or maybe they are starting to build outside of the inner island and we're actually able to see things now. I don't know. I fucking love it.
On glaciers, things shift too much, right. And so it just won't stay very long. And so I'm just puzzling this, and the only thing that came to mind about structure on a mountain was Noah's Ark. And so I said that. I said, what, are you showing me a picture of Noah's Ark? I was expecting him to laugh, and he says, you're the man I'm looking for. Okay.
How can, yeah, you know why? Because everyone else told you, no, that's a fairy tale, and told you what the stuff actually was. So, dude, in this stupid story that totally happened, is of course going to look for the nut job who's going to validate what he already thinks.
So if you want to say my claim to fame to anything in this is that I'm the first person to calculate its latitude and longitude. We don't just say it's up there on the mountain somewhere toward the top, kind of on the left. No, we don't do that. This site that you're seeing here is the exact coordinates to what I found. Okay.
I don't see shit except a smudge, a pixelated smudge built in fucking Minecraft, some weird green shit, the word arc, what looks like a goddamned iceberg, and some text that even if I get up close to it, I can barely read. What does that fucking shit say? Text sketch the designated archaeological site on Greater Mount Ararat. Good God, I've seen BBS pixel art that's more legible than this. I could recreate this whole goddamn thing in fucking Mobius or Pablo Draw right now. Hell, let me fire up FreeDOS, bring out the draw. I'll do that shit and use kick-ass ANSI fonts.
Now then, the getting the maps was very tricky. I can tell you that. I had at the time a top secret security clearance, and getting maps of that area was still half impossible. I had to put together a collage of
What year was this, buddy? There might be a good reason for that.
different maps from many sources to be
Did anyone catch what year this happened in? Because I missed out.
able to consolidate everything together to be able to get a reasonable, close thing. Now today, with modern technology, you can get on Google Earth and pull it right up to the foot. Okay, but
Not that high a resolution there, buddy. But yeah. So have you other people independently verified what you claim here from your Cold War era photos? Which that's the key thing. This what being the Cold War, a lot of stuff was still on kind of a need to know basis. And the thing about Turkey was that with it being a relatively allied nation, yeah, we kind of had a bit of a thing of maybe we don't want every Joe Schmo with reasonable access to have access to all kinds of images from a country where we're probably stashing nuclear weapons. Maybe that's why, if this shit happened back during the Cold War, that all you fuckers seem to still be living in. By the way, Kent, I would like to challenge you that the wrong side won the Cold War, but that's a discussion for another time.
back then, with some of the maps I was working on, a pinprick from a pencil would cover 40 or 50 yards, in real world size.
Yeah, it was inevitable for a elongated muskrat to reach that value. It is what it is. He can't live forever, so there's that.
So it's hard to get precise when you're dealing with something like that. But nonetheless, we launched the website, and it crashed recently, so I had to pull it up and whatnot. By the way, this for the record, this expedition leader that came to me, he was Pastor Edward Crawford.
Really? He was a pastor. What a fucking surprise. Because we all know pastors are going to be the ones looking for actual truth rather than just, trying to find someone to validate their craziness. You're a military guy. You're a map expert. Cool. You'll confirm what I already say and think, and that'll make me look like a religious hero. Yeah, that way we can get more money.
He passed away in 2010 of a heart attack. He'd climbed that mountain probably 17 times, and it takes a toll on you. By the way, the Turks do not call.
Really? It couldn't have been all the other shit going on in his life, all the hedonism that tends to come with it. I never see older people who are in the religious belt who are skinny. I always got that I eat 3 steaks a day thing going on.
Call it Mount Ararat. They call it Bayuk Agrada. Okay, that translates roughly as the Great Mountain of Agony or Pain. And yeah, to put things in perspective, it's about 17,000 feet at the top. I still live over in Washington State.
But by the way, Ararat's so fucking horrible. Apparently, Nepalese Sherpa guide, Kamirita, holds the record for most climbs of Mount Everest by a single person, hitting the 8.8 kilometer peak 32 times. Now, granted, he is a Nepali Sherpa, so he's kind of got an advantage there, but still, just saying.
And I can see Mount Rainier every day, which is an impressive mountain, and it's a mere 14,400 feet.
I climbed it and it wore me out bad. But I was young and,
Yeah. So
yeah, and you're an out of shape piece of shit. I am too, Kent. Mountain climbing ain't easy. I would like to do that one day. I want to hit the top of Mount St. Helens. I want to stare down at the caldera. That'd be fucking awesome, but it's gonna be a while.
Climb right here. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we'll look forward to climbing Mount.
I don't think I want to climb Mount.
Okay. It's really, from a technical point of view, it's not that difficult. If you come up from the north side, it is kind of tricky. There's something called the Aurora Gorge on the north side. That's where all the water flow from the glaciers comes in and washes down, and kind of has a miniature Grand Canyon in the back. And it.
They love to say that, a miniature Grand Canyon. Also, I'm dumb. Mount St. Helens doesn't have a caldera. The upper structure is a horseshoe-shaped crater, properly a crater rather than a sunken caldera. So I'm a dumbass there. But see, I looked this stuff up instantly if there's even a moment of doubt in my mind about something I said. Like, you guys will be amazed how many times both I do and I don't look up something after the fact.
Presents more of a challenge, but it is closer to the site than than coming up on the south side, which is a real gradual slope. However, now these days it's very difficult to come up the north side, and I'll get into that in a minute.
Well, I mean, there isn't much of a north side to Mount St. Helens left since 1980. Oh, you're talking about Mount Yasser Arafat. Okay.
All right. We're showing.
See, I pay attention to y'all's jokes in the background. Y'all just don't see it, but I make references.
Some things from the website that I had. And one of the things that's interesting right there is a characterization of a stone. Can you scroll up a little bit? I think the
Okay, I'm gonna be fucking real. This is the most boring shit I've ever fucking heard from this channel. This is god fucking awful. This seriously ranks nearly to the tier of Kent Hovind is Innocent. Which, if you've never actually watched that bullshit, is 8 solid hours of terrible narration over PowerPoint slide after PowerPoint slide of pure text.
Picture of the stone.
Joseph?
Is no scroll
I'm controlling
up.
it. He's controlling it.
Can you scroll up so that this
Zoomy, what you do in that case though is restraint exercise like they do on orbit. Skylab demonstrated some of the tech. Space Hab and Space Lab on the shuttle made improvements on it. Of course, the ISS uses such regularly. There was a treadmill on Artemis, if you recall. And of course, the Soviets through the Soyuz and then into Mir were doing the same as well. So it's been well demonstrated that we can maintain muscle and bone density effects that are caused by our us being evolved for a 1G constant environment with regular exercise with such restraints to simulate the 1G effect. So the moon isn't too dangerous to be on if we can be in orbit for over a year without too much issue.
picture on the
Enlarge it. Take the whole screen. Take the whole screen.
on the one on the left. Let's bring it up.
Can you fill the whole screen?
Okay.
Get rid of us.
You've got the whole screen. My God, Kent. Wow. Everyone. Applaud Kent. If you missed that, he just said, make the larger screen. He's trying to talk about zooming in on this stuff. He's like, get rid of us. Hovind said what I brought up earlier of maximize the content. They don't matter. Joseph hadn't figured this out. But of course, if you dare cover Hovind with something else, you will be executed by anti-aircraft gun, just as the laws in North Korea are with their leaders. In fact, if you watch older North Korean music videos, you will see cases where the on-screen lyrics, which are a tradition in East Asia, to have the subtitles, the lyrics on there kind of baked in, you'll notice them just disappear awkwardly when Kim Il-sung or Kim Jong-il are shown where on-screen lyrics are present. Once you hit the widescreen era and you hit Kim Jong-un being the supreme leader, they actually started putting him into boxes with like white backgrounds and stuff. It almost looks like a late 90s, early 2000s rap video that's in super widescreen, and they have the white letter boxing instead of the black. I always hated that too, but whatever. They tried to make it look sharp. Sometimes it worked. I think Big Pimpin' is an example of that to go for. There's a dated ass reference, but hey, I was in high school. Anyway, point is, that way they don't cover up Kim Jong Un. So Joseph's sitting there like, I dare not cover Supreme Leader Hovind, otherwise I won't live to see another day.
Yeah, go ahead and fill the screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't believe Hovind and I are in agreement, but I think he and I are both equally excited about this. Wow, we can actually see this garbage.
That may not look like much, but when my pastor, which is my expedition leader also, Edward Crawford, took it to the National Geographic Dead Language Department, he came back and said that they got very excited at seeing this. Okay. It looks kind of scratched up, and keep in mind it's thousands of years old. So yeah, it's had the test of time given to it. There's an object you'll see up on the top. That's his ice axe to kind of give it some scale. But the stone itself weighed about 150 kilograms. So not exactly something easy to drag down off the side of the mountain. But we have had 2 other expeditions just to find this stone again.
Yeah, this part I did take a little peek at because I just clicked randomly. This is fucking wild.
The Turkish military stopped us both times, so we were not able to go up and try to.
Really? Probably because you were illegally on the mountain, if this is even true. Because a lot of you assholes seem to not care about the laws of the nations you go to and just do stuff just to be doing it.
Secure.
All
Okay.
right.
Now then, get back down to this inscription thing here. It's a little easier to see. Now, for sensitive viewers of my audience, if they may notice a part of it that people might think looks like graffiti. Okay. I can't help that. That's just the way they wrote back then. So when he...
What? Graffiti is a sensitive issue? Oh, good heavens. Urban street art. Oh, this is worse than when Madame Hilbury showed her ankle. Oh, Martha, don't look. You'll come down with the vapors. Oh, the horror. What the fuck, man? You want to call us snowflakes? Man, I go last week to wash my clothes, and there's fucking blood spots on the walkway outside. And I'm like, okay. If you're in Discord, you saw the photos. It's like, what the fuck, man? Someone had a bad day last Saturday. And I'm like, whatever. This guy's like, for my sensitive viewers, you might see some graffiti. Are you fucking serious? Christ.
Took it to the Dead Language Department of National Geographic. They were shocked. And they said, do you know this is the oldest known written language to man? I said, well...
doesn't look like cuneiform to me.
No, but do you know enough to translate it? And they said, yeah, we think that we can put together enough to translate. Is there any way you could blow that up?
Nimrod with €2.49. Can we bleach all things cunt from our memories? Not for that much money. It's going to take a lot more. But thank you so very much for the super chat. I always appreciate it.
Yeah, move it center.
There we go.
Okay, I'm going to teach your audience a little Proto-Sumerian to the best of my ability. Now, get in mind,
Really?
I wish I was there with him when he was talking to these guys, but this is what he reported back to me. So this is secondhand. Okay. You know how we write in a particular direction. Okay. Well, they write the opposite direction.
Okay.
Okay. However, there's a few things.
Oh, you mean what is actually, if you think about it, the correct direction, in every facet except for if you're using inks. Because it's very weird that we go left to right, but then you think about it, left to right dominated in areas that started to develop ink writing, or cases where smudging would be an issue. Because it goes a proper cuneiform, you do go left to right if memory serves. But places that didn't quite do that early on, yeah, they wound up doing vertical setups or right to left.
Things here that's interesting.
Things get more complicated as writing evolves, but from my understanding, yeah, it's an interesting little thing of how the sooner inks came into play, the sooner that happened, or so I've heard. I could be mistaken on that completely. The more I think about it, the more I'm like, wait. So, I could be full of it.
The first thing...
because I learned from someone full of it. I'm going to look that up now.
I'd like to point to is there's a shape in the bottom of it, looks kind of like a mountain. Okay. We're not exactly sure what that is. I wish I could point to it, but
go up or down, right or left.
It's okay. Go to the middle. You see the thing that looks like an ox head there with the horns? Ox head right here.
Ox head. Okay, so right to left often developed in cultures writing on stone, clay, or other hard surfaces. If you're right-handed and carving with a chisel, moving right to left can keep your hand from blocking what you just carved. Ancient Semitic scripts, ancestors of Arabic and Hebrew, likely inherited this tradition. Left to right became common with ink on papyrus, parchment, and paper. For right-handed writer, moving left to right means your hand trails behind the fresh ink instead of smearing it. Ha ha! Okay. God damn it, I keep on scrolling down on the wrong thing. East Asian writing developed somewhat differently. Traditional Chinese was often written top to bottom with columns of progressing right to left across the page, partially because the shape of bamboo slips and the use of brushes. Okay, so I wasn't full of it. Hell yeah. Oh man, that makes me feel so good, because it's just little things like that, little moments that never happen with these kinds of people where they're looking for confirmation bias. I mean, note the juxtaposition right here, and I didn't even intend for this. They're sitting there blabbling on that all this stuff is most definitely, they're just going to prove Noah's Ark, whereas I'm sitting there like, left to right and right to left a lot of it has to do with whether it's chiseling and stuff or ink on paper or something. See, when I was talking about Sumerians, I was talking about the clay tablets they use. I didn't even think about, chiseling stuff and where the right hand aspect would, the right to left would benefit there. But then I go and I doubt myself, and then I look it up and realize, oh, nope, I was broadly correct. That's something these people don't do. And I've done it twice here in this stream of my own nature. Once proving myself wrong, and another time proving myself correct. And it just naturally happened because I care about the accuracy of what I believe and what I claim to know. Fuck. It's just amazing to demonstrate, without even trying, the entire problem with these people that for some reason so many other people do not get.
Put your pointer in there, Joseph. No, put your skirt.
You can't see it. I don't have my cursor.
Put your skirt. I can't see it.
Okay, there it is, right there.
Right there.
Okay, that's like I said. Right next to it is what appears to be a mountain.
Okay,
and that's probably a reference to the fact that.
And the Japan doing the both style, but the traditional formatting versus the semi-modernized. The influence that came from the West once they were visited originally by the Portuguese, I believe, were the first to make regular contact with Japan. That's why we call it Japan, because Zaipan. That's what they ended up hearing it as, Zaipan.
It is sitting that this sacrifice was done on a mountain.
Yeah, it's ancient IKEA instructions to put together a dino slide.
Okay. The next over to it is an ancient inscription. We still use it today. The letter A came from the next symbol over. Move your cursor
right
to
the
right,
to the right,
to the
right, a little bit. Right
there you go. Okay, this is where our letter A came from. The capital A,
You know, y'all love to say that, but I'm just not like I'm not seeing it anywhere else but in Christian bullshit.
when you take a look at it, was taken by the Greeks just simply thinking they were being clever and flipping it upside down. Okay, but those are the horns on the ox, and then the V shape of the face. That's how they depicted an ox. The next one.
Yeah, it's the Greek alpha, Phoenician aleph, proto-synactic ox symbol. So A came from Greek, which came from Phoenician, which came from Proto-Sinaitic. So what is Sinaitic? I'm gonna look this up. What is Sinaitic? If I'm even pronouncing it right, which I'm sure I'm not. Sinaitic. Sinaitic. No. Sinaitic generally refers to anything originating from or relating to Mount Sinai and the Sinai Peninsula. Okay. So we are getting something that matches somewhat with their stuff. But it was an ox head. Okay, around 1800 to 1500 BCE. Okay.
That's kind of interesting. Is this is basically a flaying, a laying out of the carcass.
Well, yeah, Madeline. I mean, not what it is now in Portuguese, but what they originally heard is my understanding. I watched a thing on it recently, and it was a misinterpretation of Nihon Nippon. They heard like Jippon, like like a Jippon, like an odd Z-ish sound. Must have been a regional accent thing combined with the nature of Portuguese at the time in like the 1700s or whatever. And yeah.
It's being prepped for sacrifice, exactly. Okay. And you'll see the kind of like action lines, that they're indicating some kind of movement in there. So that's it being laid out for the sacrifice. Okay. It's kind of clever how with just simple.
Yeah. Gaipon became Japan by 1577. When they took phonetic interpretations, but I swear I've heard of Jaipon, which would match the G, the soft G sound if that was used. Jaipon, Japan. So yeah.
Symbols they can make.
It's not specifically saying Portugal here, but 1577. So yeah, 1600s.
A lot of information available to you. All right, so move over to the next one. That is the sacrificial podium. For the thing to lay out the thing. As a matter of fact, you can see at the top of it, up toward the top, is the sacrifice laid out on the altar.
Oh, same symbol. Yeah, okay.
Okay, all right. Now then, the lower.
I mean, bro, I'm gonna be real. The only thing I see here is a foot. Like y'all see my mouse cursor. Where the hell even is my mouse cursor? There it is. A foot right there, and that's it. And I think that looks like a snake head. At least that's what I'm going with. Yeah.
Or one is the symbol for smoke, meaning that they were burning it. Okay. And the one above.
So yeah, the soft G kind of sound in modern Portuguese. Yeah.
Of it that looks like a star, that's a symbol for God. Okay.
Okay.
All right. He is now speaking and saying something. Okay. Now then, the next thing you're going to see is an object.
And I just kind of love that they happen to find an object that perfectly tells the story they want it to tell.
That looks like a kindergartner's version of a boat up here. You're going to see, looks like a boat with a sail on it.
Dead center.
Center up above the ox symbol.
To the right?
Yeah, go to the
right. There, yeah, okay.
All right, that's it. Okay, what you're looking at is the symbol for bow. And like a bow and arrow. Okay. But what's interesting, the other object is a lampstand. And then what you'll see is that the two words are connected. That means the idea is connected. Okay. We do the same thing in English all the time. Okay.
You mentioned a ramen shop. I got an ad for like one of the little menu things for a place, a Mongolian grill and ramen place. Down the way, and I'm like, these prices are a bit much, but I'd actually keep this handy because this is a place I'd actually order from. So now you're just making me hungry.
Okay, we connect two words together to make a different word.
Okay.
Okay. And so when you have a light,
And Justin, I forget his name already. Some goober who thinks that some dude brought him like military satellite or military grade, some sort of forbidden archaeological photos, like satellite photos, and they found Noah's Ark and did expeditions and got ran off by the tyrannical Turkish government, Mount Ararat, and found some stone that has a boat, an ox, and a damn foot on it, and a snake, and a yo-yo, and an octopus. Hell, I should probably like annotate this whole damn thing sometime. Just to say what I see on here, and the flagpole from Mario on it, and that somehow says Noah's Ark is real.
and a bow, what do you think that could mean?
A white and a bow.
Light.
A light and a bow.
God, can't clear the wax out of your ears.
Rainbow.
Rainbow, exactly.
Rainbow, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
that's what it's saying. Now then, here's one everybody gets right away, and that's the hortatory command. Notice how big the foot is in the middle.
Dead center top.
Oh my God, it actually is a foot.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, you'll notice that it's big and because of the fact that he wants to make it emphatic. Okay, this is a command.
None of this is how those languages work. This is just shit scrawled on some stone by probably deceptive asswipes sometime within the last 50 to 100 years.
Telling you, go forth. That's what it's saying. Okay. Now then, the other part that we get a lot of criticism for, and I can't help it because let's face it, 4,000 years ago, they didn't have the same concepts we did of graffiti and whatnot. But this is their simple symbol for a man and woman uniting to produce children. Okay. Now then, you'll notice there's a bar
Okay.
connecting them. That means that the two are items are connected, and then you'll look and you'll see another line going down to the circle.
The circle.
And,
Oh, so that's the yo-yo is people getting it on? What?
There you go.
there you go. Thank you. And that is the wellspring. And then go down a little bit below that, and you'll see other little circles. That's the idea of like the bubbling forth, the recreation.
Okay.
Okay. So
Dude, this is just looks like a bunch of shit scrawled on a rock, man. I mean, I'm not even being funny. This looks like just the kinds of crap, low tier garbage that someone would try to make.
So let me translate that into English for you. And basically, the first section that you're seeing is the equivalent.
Someone mute Kent, please. I don't need to hear all the time.
Of like we do parentheses, when you need a little extra information to the statement, that that bottom section from the mountain to the flaying and whatnot is kind of the preparatory phase, telling you what's going on while the other command has.
Yeah, it's just lines on rocks. Okay, and I'm glad I'm not the only one completely confused.
Okay.
And it's just saying that we have prepared this ox to sacrifice, and have burned it, and this is what God has told us. And it says,
Okay, let me get my mouse cursor on here. Come on, can y'all see? Come on, there it is. Okay, so all I see is that you've got you got the Blair Witch Project over here. We're gonna read this from right to left. Okay, all right. You got the Blair Witch Project over here hanging out next to one of the Super Mario Brothers flagpoles. You do that, you get the weird axe upgrade with the ox. You got the bug face over here because that totally looks like a bug face and not some ox face. Then you hop on your boat and you cross the river Styx, and then you fight the Monty Python foot, and then you get on your galactic yo-yo, go up to the UFO mothership, take the bridge down to penis-looking snake battle zone, and you escape, and you fall on the little smiley face dudes, and then you've got to fight the realm of 3 dimensions, where you have to survive in the 3-dimensional realm as a 2-dimensional object trapped inside my mind. There's my interpretation of it. Give me a Nobel Prize. Come on, play. Okay,
God has commanded the people of the covenant of the rainbow to go forth and be fruitful and multiply. Does that sound familiar?
Exactly what it says in Genesis.
Exactly. So
And yes, I caught Guild Wars 3 announcements. I haven't watched any of the official media. I caught it through Facebook groups I'm in. I'm aware it's going to be a prequel. Apparently, at least the beginnings of it are going to focus on ore, which is great because I love ore. And I hate that it's such a. I've always hated the mysterious nature of it. It's like, oh man, I want to see what ore was actually like, because the only time you really get to experience it is Guild Wars 2, and it's been underwater for forever, and was raised by Zythan, and is part of where his undead armies are. Um, yeah, Guild Wars 3. Have mixed feelings about a new game coming that'll take away from my ability to focus on Guild Wars 2 as well. But at the same rate, it may be a nice distraction when I don't feel like playing Guild Wars 2, because they do have big plans to modernize and continue that in full support, at least insofar as what ArenaNet has put on the game for the past half decade. But Guild Wars 3 is going to be a prequel set apparently during the Guild Wars that are the namesake of the game series, so that'll be pretty cool. So yeah, I want to check that out.
This is the oldest known piece of scripture on Earth, and it's sitting on the side of a mountain in Turkey.
Wow. Right, Joseph, bring it down. Back to us. There. Interesting.
We normally mock Kent's language there, but I actually rather like him saying bring it down. I like that phrasing.
Okay. So, by the way, you may be asking yourselves in your audience why you've never heard of any of this before. I'll tell you what, everybody has tried to stop this. It's just been so interesting. We were required to get our permit to have a archaeological site on Mount Ararat. The Turks gave us several pieces of criteria that we had to have. First, we had to publish everything, which this...
Hey, we've got a question, dude. Why does Constantinople get the works? This guy would probably just stare at me funny, to which I'd respond to him, it's nobody's business but the Turks. Uneducated swine. He probably doesn't even know what a man is.
What you're looking at now is a copy of our website. We had to give every detail that we had and put it out there. I didn't personally want to give you my lat long information so you could walk up and do it yourself, but they said, yes, you got to. Okay, fine. Anything for
lat long means latitude, longitude.
Yeah, sorry. And so anyway, I did. Okay. So then we gave all of our information in there, and then we had to publish in a magazine, okay, a scientifically peer-reviewed magazine, because this is about science after all, and archaeology. Okay, so we went to the folks who translated it for us, National Geographic.
Zumi, you answer the question of what is a man, and you answer it accurately. But I think we underappreciate what Richter says at the beginning of his encounter with Count Dracula in that moment. And it's a line that befits so many people currently in the world. One we're looking at, and another who we'll all be thinking about when I say the line. Die, monster. You don't belong in this world. Now I want to quote the whole damn thing, but I won't.
All right. And they had at the time a sub-publication in 1994 that was called Research and Exploration. Okay. So we submitted everything to the editor, and she reviewed it and said, it seems credible and it's verified by us, so I have no trouble publishing this information. Okay, well, the first hitch in this ride was the fact that it was supposed to come out in the October 94 edition. This didn't show up then, and as a matter of fact, it didn't get out till about 6 weeks later. Okay, I think about the middle of November, if I remember correctly. And so we asked the editor, I won't list her name, but she had,
I got the editor, I won't list her name because she's not real, and then I'm going to stumble across myself.
We said, what was a hitch? And they said, they did not want this out. National Geographic.
National Geographic.
And they said, but I looked at it, and in her own sense of ethics, she said, look, these guys are as valid as anybody else. You yourselves have verified their information. I see no reason why I can't print this. They said, okay, you're fired. And by the way, the magazine's canceled. The copy did come out. I have the last copy ever made of that
Oh, how convenient.
in my possession. But that
Wow.
was just the first of many attempts. Okay. So let's go to the arc itself, if we could.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, move down.
There's a little bit of stuff on the writing. No, go up. I think the thing's upward.
Go up.
Yeah, go up. We had a drawing of a map of there. Go up. That's the satellite photo that I used for the thing. Let's see if he did this. Okay, there it is. Unfortunately, there is a page break right there at this site.
Slide those two together in your mind. Okay.
Okay, yeah, thanks. And essentially what you're looking at, if you want to screenshot that or whatever, there's the latitude, longitude of the spots that we did verify by spot satellite. Okay. And
We verified this latitude and longitude by spy satellite. So, when we weren't monitoring the Balkan conflicts and seeing what our friend Saddam Hussein was up to and checking on the status in Tehran and just for the hell of it scoping what Moscow was doing, we had time to aim at some stupid mountain in Turkey. Yeah. I don't think the keyhole satellites and the like and KH-11 and shit are like the Hubble Space Telescope, which is their slightly altered sister. You can't just rent time on them, okay?
we had to have a couple of reference points, so we put it there on the when the satellite came over and took the picture. This is not what you would.
Also, I'm not kidding about that. In case you don't know, a large portion of spy satellites up there in the later stages of the Keyhole program, I think the KH-11s, are literally Hubble Space Telescope-sized monsters. So there's not just one of that thing up there. We've launched like a lot of them. I forget how many. Many of them, if not all, launched on Titan 4 family boosters.
See if you walk over it. What you're looking at is buried under about 100 feet of ice on any given day that you walk up there.
Yep, KH-11 Kenon, later renamed Crystal, then Evolved Enhanced Crystal System, codename 1010 and Keyhole. Reconnaissance satellite first launched by NRO, one of my favorite organizations in the U.S. government, in 1976. Oh, wow, December 76, so they're 50 years old. Lockheed in Sunnyvale, California is the manufacturer. They were electro-optical digital imaging. Let me look at the launches. What did I see Donald Trump? 2019, Donald Trump tweeted a classified image of the aftermath of a failed test of Iran's Saphir rocket, which I believe was taken by the USA 224 satellite. Which would have been, that's the one, yeah. Yeah, that's one of the Delta 4 launches. In fact, was it the first Delta 4? I think January 20th, 2011. Nah, but that was a good one. It's got a really cool mission patch to it. I know y'all just see Hovind stupid crap while I'm here on Wikipedia looking at kick-ass charts. Let's see. Launch designation, COSPAR IDs. I'm not getting launch vehicles. They'd have to be Titans, though. Yeah. Anyway. KH-11 are really cool. Yeah, there's like 30 of those fuckers up there in orbit.
I was up there in 2008. It was still buried, just completely in there. The reason we got that particular...
Well, somebody better get it out.
Satellite photo was taken in 1973, as I mentioned earlier.
73. So right in the beginning of the detente period of the Cold War.
That particular year, there was a severe drought, and a little peak of that arc peered its way out. And the rest of the information we got from another satellite photo, which is forthcoming.
Now, is the red lettering on there, is that the latitude, longitude?
Yes, that's it.
Can you zoom in on that? Will that show up? The red letters right above the R?
Especially the one in the corner. That's the
bottom.
The bottom one.
The bottom one's even better quality.
Yeah, that's that's the
39 degrees north.
That's actually on one corner of it.
Go back up a little bit. Bring this. Yeah, right there. See those red letters?
Boy, if Hovind could handle his own goddamn stream, it'd go a lot smoother.
North, east.
Yeah. Okay.
Latitude, longitude.
Yep, that's it.
From that number, anybody can find it.
Yep. And it's at a 52-degree true heading from that position going northwest.
Okay.
The fuck does that mean, dude? It's a location. You look there. If your stupid boat's there, we should fucking see it, dog. Also, that conflicts with all the other Noah's Ark was found stories out there.
On the north side of Mount Ararat.
The north side,
okay.
Yes. And for those purists out there, it's between the Abich 2 and the Perot Glacier.
Okay.
I'm sure there's some climate that cares.
Do you want to share the story you did about why the Muslims are reluctant to do this?
All right. Well, that is the obvious question. Why aren't the Muslims concerned about this? And we presented this information to them starting the year 2000. Okay. And there's reasons why I'm not going to give the names. I'm sorry. I don't want to look like a conspiracy theorist or something. But there's reasons I want to protect people involved in this now. And
it's totally conspiracy, guys. But it's not. But it totally is.
But one of the ministers that was in charge of the program was a big fan of ours, okay, and really supported us in a lot of our endeavors and gave us a lot of headway in this thing.
Man, I'd be taking an incredible risk of just totally fucking up the stream, but I almost want to load up Google Earth and just see what I see there. If anything.
The thing is, though, when we presented this information and the Turks that were there at the thing, and again, I have to say, I did not attend that particular meeting. I had this a secondhand.
Oh, what? You didn't want to meet Renault and Rude? Or maybe Scarlet was your problem, having impure thoughts?
Information from what they had provided.
I heard Rufus gave a rousing speech, though.
But the
wow, like the only person in my audience is going to get the reference I just made right now, I think is going to be Zumi, and I believe Otaku would if they were here.
But I asked him what happened in the thing, and he said at first they were extremely excited. They're like, wow, this is $1 billion a year tourist industry. We could make a fortune.
Well, remember, though, that Islam is still Abrahamic and does accept not only some Christian elements got blended in as the religion was formed, but it is still Abrahamic, and the Jewish portion is a key aspect. So they have the flood story, too. They just, actually, I don't know what their stance is on caring about it so much because I don't really pay attention to Islam because it has minimal effect on my life. And outside of, radical extremism, it's honestly not had a negative effect on my life. So, yeah. And Zumi, he talked about having a meeting with the Turks. And I suggested that he might have had issues hanging out with Renault and Rude, or maybe he was having impure thoughts about Scarlet. Followed up with saying that Rufus did give a rousing speech. So, yeah.
With everybody coming, we'll be the center of the civilization. And somebody said, we're Muslims, don't you? And they said, yeah, okay. And they said, well, the Quran has a slightly different story. Okay. As being in the Bible-believing audience, I'm sure you know the story of of the ark coming down, and it doesn't really say specifically what mountain it comes down on. It just says it comes down in the mountain.
Be careful if you speak improperly amongst the Hovend, and you dare say doctrine that does not fit his mandatory beliefs. You will be fed to the dinos. That's right, the chicken coop.
Mountains of Ararat.
Plural, mountains.
Okay,
Yeah.
and that's the same as saying like
Yeah, that's the thing. Even with as far as I understand, the KJV, it's one of those translation things that happens where it becomes slightly different by virtue of the oddball, piss poor translation that the KJV has. So yeah, definitely doesn't fit with Kent's story interpretation, which is where they're going right now.
like a mountain range, like say Cascades, and Greater Ararat just happens to be the largest mountain in that range, just like Rainier and Cascades is this mountain there. Okay, so we as Christians and following the Bible say, well, the way it's described, you see the ark coming to rest, and then later on you see the rest of the mountains coming into view after a while, and as the water starts to sink down. Okay, well, the logic of that tells you that you must have.
Here's the thing: wouldn't the mountain have already been there then, if the boat was anchored with the drogue stones and all that stuff? Or did the mountain get shot up in the water, but not hard enough and in a way that disrupted the drogue stones and of course, the ark itself? I have serious questions about this, dude. Like, y'all really need to reconcile all this.
Been on the first mountain to stick its head up, we'll say you must have been on the tallest mountain. Okay. However, Allah told Muhammad that it was a different place, apparently, because he said it was on Al Judi.
Al Judi is the name of a different mountain.
Yes, a completely different mountain. I don't
No, Kent, it's just the name of a woman. It's your sixth wife.
remember. It's about 100 miles south, correctly. But it has created a problem for the Turks, because you got 60% of your culture in your country, fundamentalistic Muslim. You're surrounded by Muslims.
You're not wrong. If you half listen, he does kind of sound like a Kermit the Frog here in the mountains of Ararat.
Muslims on all sides. And the last thing.
And for the rest of you out there, helicopter, helicopter. Oh, yes, I'm making a reference to that Kermit the Frog.
That you want to say is to stand up and say, oh, by the way, I proved that was wrong.
Right.
You know, he didn't know geography. You know, so they didn't want to do that. So they're going to, they may reveal it at some point. That's up to them. I have no say of that. And I don't even talk to those people anymore.
God, this sucks, and we still got another like 30 minutes to go.
And by the way, I'm not asking for donations. I'm not doing anything. I'm just giving this information out. You do with it as you feel fit. Okay. If you want to launch your own expedition, feel free. You're going to run into an awful lot of headaches. Okay, but be my guest. I'd love to stand vindicated someday.
So the Muslims said, Muhammad said it landed on a different mountain. So how did they resolve that? This is great.
Okay, well, yeah, well, what's interesting, and I don't know how else to explain this, but as you start doing a deep dive in the
Why are you gay?
research on Ararat now and looking at the various information, all of a sudden a rather interesting thing pops up. I can't find any references of earlier than 1973 that this came about, and certainly I hadn't noticed anything before, say, the 80s and 90s, early 90s, where there were references like this. But if you start reading publications now concerning the specific location of the ark concerning Mount Ararat, all of a sudden you'll see a reference to the second peak, which it has actually a second peak to it.
Does that show on
that's
here?
like, it kind of, but when you stand on it, it looks like you're on the top of the mountain, but it's a little bit lower. And but the second peak happens to be.
climb a mountain, touch a mountain. And Beavis and Butthead reference doing it for anybody? No? Let's continue. It's apparently Make Random References Day because I am so fucking bored of this.
Closer to the the arc than the higher peak, and they have started calling that second peak Al Judy.
So Muhammad was right after all.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So,
Why are you red, Kent?
now then, get into some
Dude, seriously, he's got to be on like blood thinners or something because this shit's just weird.
of the things also about the way the Turks operate. And some of you conspiracy theorists may appreciate this a little bit. But
Oh, I'm sure they will.
one time he was called over there to have some kind of meeting. So he flies over to Turkey and he goes to talk to whatever minister he had to talk to. And when he announced himself at the building, to the receptionist, a clerk comes by and takes him, walks him down the hallway. And then he said, well, the minister's not ready to see you right now. Why don't you have a seat in here and we'll come and get you? So he goes into this room and he says, there is a table, there's a couple of chairs, and there's a file sitting in the middle that's rather thick. So he sits down and he waits and he waits and he starts looking at the file. And all of a sudden he sees his name, Edward Crawford, on the file. He said, so I just kind of look around and then I peek open the thing, lift it up a little bit on the desk and start going through it. And he said, there was my entire record of my life. Everything I published, everything I said, sermons that I wrote, dissertations I made, letters that I had written, grades in high school, you know what, everything that they could find.
What a fucking load.
On me. Okay. So he thumbs through it and he puts it back and he kind of sits there for a while. And pretty soon there's a knock on the door. And he says, the minister will see you now. So he gets up and he walks down the hall with this clerk. And the guy says, you know what the difference between us and the CIA is? He says, well, what? He says, we'll let you see the files we're keeping on you.
Ah.
Yeah.
CIA doesn't. No, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
okay. Yeah, they just don't let us see them, you know. So what can I say? Anyway.
Well, I mean, something you idiots always seem to forget when you're talking about the CIA is that the CIA doesn't keep records on American citizens unless it directly involves their international operations because the CIA handles foreign issues, we shall say, whereas the FBI handles domestic. So yeah, it'd be kind of weird to just give a foreign national the opportunity to look at their paperwork from the CIA's perspective, regardless of what the fuck OPSEC that is. Secondly, what is with the delusions of grandeur these people have that they think that doing research on Noah's Ark is somehow like this big ass thing that they suddenly become part of a hit list or something? Like, what the fuck, man? Just wow. Wow. It isn't that crucial. You ain't that important. You just aren't. You never fucking will be. There's some egg-looking motherfucker who has the shittiest story about how you, amongst 1,000 other people, all found the truth of stuff. Hey, Kent. Does what our egg-shaped friend here find? Does it match with Ron Wyatt or does it conflict with what Ron Wyatt found? Because we need answers. Because if it conflicts, then it is obviously a fraud because I had knows it all. If it contorts with their story, but it seems like it's independent from what Ron Wyatt found because dude isn't bringing up Ron at all.
It is an interesting thing. We have run into a few problems, I'll give you one particular one.
Well, that happens when you don't pay your taxes. Oh, wait, sorry, I forgot that's not Kent talking.
As I mentioned, we're over in Washington. So, and specifically the church had in Puyallup. Okay. So I got the brilliant idea one time. I said, well, why don't we try something local?
Good point. Yeah, Kent did think, was it Chris Jones that he thinks the Illuminati was chasing him? Yeah. And it's always Schrodinger's they. These powerful theys control the world and can do anything they want, but for some reason, they can't put these fuckers, just make them disappear.
And so I said, why don't we go to like Tacoma News Tribune and get them to publish this? And so
you know, there's the story of that guy who mysteriously, for some reason, imbibed polonium and died of radiation poisoning. And that's attributed to a particular they. And it was a successful elimination. But for some reason, the infinitely more powerful they can't eliminate these clowns for being so dangerous. It's amazing. Not only do you have imaginary friends and imaginary enemies, but you also LARP the shittiest Mary Sue story possible.
I even recommended the religious editor. I said that who else would be
right, sure.
Okay, so this gentleman came over, and again, I'm not going to give his name because I don't have his approval for that. But if anybody wants to do some research, they can probably figure it out. So I went over to this.
You know, it should be noted that if I was somehow ever skilled enough to get like a government job, and this is very ironic given my extreme left leanings, that the CIA is heavily responsible for the destruction of virtually every socialist experiment out there through the 20th century, that the NRO and the CIA would be the agencies I would want to work most for.
This guy, and we talked, and he was very enthusiastic. He was an outstanding journalist.
But note that my focus there would seem to be observation and information gathering rather than the active creation of problems. So, you know, I'm the kind of guy who would be all over the A12 program back in the 60s rather than rather than helping establish Bay of Pigs and the like, you know?
He went over and he asked us for every reference that we had. And I mean, we listed everything, and he called them, and he also asked them for other references and whatnot. And he did an incredibly thorough job. Everybody that we knew in association with this project in some way or other, including like the editor of the National Geographic's Research and Exploration, they all gave their stories and whatnot, and he spent 2 months going through all of this and creating a full dossier ready for publishing. He's then one day he comes up to us and says, well, I tried. So what do you mean? He says, I took it over to the editor and he took a look at it and said, oh, wait, I'm going to write this. And
God, the story sucks.
He did write something, and I don't know why he wrote it, but it was the whole thing was not about the evidence for the ark being where it is. It was about some man dreaming someday to go up and find the mountain, go up to the mountain and find this boat. Okay, but it had no facts. As a matter of fact, every quote in there was misquoted out of it, and to make it look like dribble. Okay, and just not really our shining moment of journalism. All right, so that was one example. There's another example that was kind of interesting to me, and some of it, I'm going to put 2 and 2 together on this one. But one day I'm watching the Discovery Channel. And there was something fascinating about, it was a show called Raising the Mammoth. I don't know if you ever saw that one or not. Okay. Well, I was intrigued because there was this brand new technology I'd never heard of called ground penetrating radar. I said, wow, how cool is that? And so I looked at that with fascination. I said, somebody's got to know how to get their hands on this stuff. So I called the Discover folks, and I keep getting one phone call and then hang up, and then, or not hang up, but they would, oh, let me put you on hold, and then they would go call somebody else, and I went through like 5 people and explaining each time what I was looking for, and finally I pick up a guy, and he is very knowledgeable about everything. I mean,
If you're anything like most evangelicals, I'm sure you picked up a guy.
he told me how much it cost, what the power supply was, how much it weighed, how much gasoline it took to operate during a 24-hour period, what kind of battery charges it would take. I mean, he was just full of information.
If the ground penetrating radar used batteries, why would there be a gasoline value that it would take over a period? That would depend on charging equipment and what generator you use, which are completely separate from the radar system itself. And if it needs that much juice to be, that would need to be connected to mains equivalent AC rather than a battery pack being able to deliver operational power for a time, then you wouldn't have batteries for it. You would just be running it straight from a generator system that would then become part of the radar. But by that point, the radar would be something the size of what you'd find on the front of a fighter aircraft. You'd have something like the F-15 radar of the F-14 Tomcat. At least if memory serves, that was the identifier for the radar of that system. I could be mistaken.
I said, wow, thank you for all that information, including the company I could get it from and whatnot. I said, that's just amazing.
And yes, I'm not kidding when I say that F-15 was an actual model of radar, conveniently unrelated to the F-15 aircraft.
How did you know all this? And he says, I was a producer for that show.
In which case, the F-15 Eagle used ANAGP 63 radar family.
Oh, okay. That's good. Well, so he goes, well, what are you planning on doing with something like this? I said, well, you might be interested.
F-14 using the AN-AWG-9 system. F-14 was noted for its having really fucking awesome radar. Like, even comparative to today, it's actually still an impressive system.
We're looking for Noah's Ark, and we think we have a spot to look in. And if you want to send your team with us, we would be more than honored to have you go with us. And he suddenly seemed a little reluctant. He says, well, there's really not that much interest in it. And I said, well, come to find out, there was about 6 months ago, didn't you guys do that one about the ship-shaped rock out there on there? And he says, yeah, but that was just kind of a one-off. We didn't really do that. And I'm kind of paraphrasing him a little bit, but he just was not terribly interested. And I said, well, here's our website. Go peruse it. If ever you're interested, give us a call, and we'll see what we can do when and if we are called. Okay. So then, much to my surprise, about 6 months later, is an entirely new show on Noah's Ark, which I thought there wasn't any interest in this stuff. Why is it out all of a sudden? When I watched it, what I saw was basically their attempt to refute everything on that website. Mm-hmm. Okay, they never mentioned it directly, but if you had our website and you had and you saw this thing side by side, you'd get the impression that that's what they were attempting. Mm-hmm. I don't know, it just seems highly coincidental.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was a couple of months. No, that was a wild story, and then that had to do with this religious. About a few months after we had our, this article come out, he comes up to us with a rather curious story. And one of the things that he did when he was doing his journalism act was he said, can I ask the Turkish government 5 questions? And we wrote the embassy, and they returned back, yes, you can. Okay, fine, we'll go do this. And he sent it. He sent the 5 questions in. They never answered.
Right.
Okay. Now this is where it gets curious, because he said, yesterday I got a call from some guy who says that he had been listening on the radio and heard Edward Crawford talk about you asking him 5 questions. And he said, so what were those 5 questions? Well, this editor knew that Ed had not been on any radio shows on this thing. And he says, well, I don't know what you're talking about, and hung up, thought the deal was over. He said, the next day I walk in, he had one of those kind of storefront, like a strip mall office kind of thing. He said, there was a boulder thrown in through the plate glass window. My office had been completely ransacked, and all the...
Kent needs to be unnoticed. Kent is centered, because this is all about Kent Hovind. It's all the ego bullshit. He can't just let this be other dude's show. If he's there, he has to be front and center. Yeah. Also, note that this has gone from Noah's Ark to just pure conspiracy bullshit. I would like to see evidence that you were ever in Turkey, because so far I haven't seen a single photo or anything. I call this whole thing bullshit.
Stuff from my filing cabinet had been dumped out, and there, when I took a photo of the mess. There on the top of the pile were the 5 questions. They left them out. We want you to know this. Okay, wow. So that's the kind of people we deal with.
Yeah.
In this. So I've got a bunch of other stories, but I'm not going to waste your time with that. But I just thought I would get this information out. This seems like a good medium as any. You guys do with it as you want to. I'm sure we'll just enter the genre of more, conspiracy stuff. I just stand on my word as a Christian that what I've told is true to the best of my knowledge.
Your word means not a goddamn thing to me. And the moment someone says, I'm a Christian, so I must be telling the truth, I presume they are lying, full stop. Because if you were telling objective truth, it would be demonstrable. You wouldn't have to back it up with the classic, I'm a Christian. Christians can't lie. By the way, let me lie to you about every last fucking thing possible.
Well, thank you, brother. I am very familiar with this way of being dealt with. My video number.
There we go. The persecution. My DVD 5 landed me in jail. They had to break 100 laws to put me in there. Time for you to hear all those stories again, everyone. Now's the perfect time to go grab a drink.
5 of my seminar series is called The Dangers of Evolution. When the SWAT team came to my house in Pensacola, Florida,
there was no SWAT team.
Arrested me and dragged my wife out of bed in her nightgown, refused to let her get dressed, took her down to the courthouse in her nightgown, federal courthouse in Pensacola.
Yeah, that wouldn't happen. Also, you don't get taken directly to a courthouse, you fucking moron. There's a booking process because you would be put into jail. That would be the place of custody until initial court proceedings would happen. So none of that adds up, dumb fuck. Oh. Also, actually, no, if it was a SWAT team anyway, it'd be a very, very special case because you might get located to a state facility and not a local one of that degree. Especially since your crimes were federal in nature.
The SWAT team leader said, search this place, get every DVD number 5 you can find.
Also, they wouldn't have done that, Kent. You know, this is another part of your the stupidity of your story. Any searches would have come later, but your house isn't going to be a DVD manufacturing facility, all right? I mean, you probably had a lot of the shit done in-house, but not everything, unless you're literally burning them disc by disc, in which case, my God, people are paying for DVD-Rs. But, of course, this was back in, like, 2006, so, yeah. Early 2007. So, Kent, no. Production facilities would have been gotten a hold of. Things would have been requested, demanded, procured through the process as a part of all this. This isn't bang, bang, John Wayne, shoot 'em up like you think it is.
I talk about the dangers of this evolution theory. Evolution is a very...
Yes, and that forbidden knowledge is so unavailable and so dangerous to possess that you can just watch it on YouTube anytime you want. Or if you really want to do something cool, you can find a video from early 2025 where a guy by the online name of Yamato, call himself some jerk on the internet, goes through the entirety of DVD5 and provides live commentary. Someone paid $100 to make sure that video happened. Forget whether it was Mapleson or someone else, but that sounds like the name of the person who, or that sounds like who it was who dropped the money to make it happen. I need to go through and systematically tear that apart in the same way Aaron Ra did Elijah in the textbook.
Carefully protected state religion. See, the founders of this country 250 years ago said, we hold these truths to be self-evident. All men are created equal. They're endowed by their creator with certain rights, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. The new American government is becoming more and more communist, and they don't want you.
You wouldn't know communism if it provided you free health care and housing.
To think you got rights to come from God. You have rights you have to buy from government. You have the right to drive on the highway if you do ABC. You have the right to get married if you ABC. So I know how they deal, but brother, people do not want, some people in authority do not want the Bible to be vindicated. If all the truth came out, people would start saying, wow, the Bible's true. I think I've got rights to come from God. We had a bunch of guys, our founding fathers, who believed this book.
You don't know shit, Kent. Full stop.
And they threw the tea in the harbor and started a big war. That's what they're afraid of. That's why they don't like me, why they spread rumors about me. They did not get the message.
No, we speak facts and, we'll bring up allegations that are worth being brought to people's attention. Also, if your DVD5 was somehow forbidden stuff, the possession of that master would be in and of itself a crime, and the duplication facilities would be located and the material to be confiscated.
Master, by the way. So everybody, please copy them, spread them around the world before they can't stop that.
I mean, this is just so fucking stupid. Anyone who sits there and actually thinks about this crap would see obviously how full of shit Hovind is.
So if it was indeed that you say this Noah's Ark is under 100 feet of ice or so, that's kind of like the Lost Squadron airplanes in Greenland. They can find them with ground
which
penetrating
weren't
radar.
under ice.
If you took ground penetrating radar over there and found it, would the Turkish government let? Is there a hindrance to melt it down? They got ground penetrating. They have holes. They can melt holes down with they could call it a gopher.
Okay. All right. Well, let me go into my grand finale then. So I've told you where it is. You probably want to know how big it is. Well, I'm going to tell you that exactly.
No, we don't want to know how big it is.
Could you scroll all
We know how big it is.
the way down to the bottom of the page?
This was fascinating to me because if Noah was indeed 18 feet tall, which is what they're claiming with finding his grave, he's 18 foot tall, then his cubit would be, huge.
That's it. Is there any way you can
Zoom in.
The cubit was huge. And yeah, DVD5 is also an anti-Semitic one. And yes, I recommend what our friend Laura here says to like the stream. That will especially compensate for the dumbass Hovendites who think that disliking my streams does anything but count as interaction and promote the videos.
On that?
zoom in on that? Bring
That
it
one
up.
right there?
Yeah, unfortunately, again, the page break starts right there. Sorry.
Well, format your shit better, moron.
Fill it up the whole screen if you would.
I'm glad Joseph knows all this stuff.
Okay. All right. You'll see a little. Yeah, I'm afraid you're gonna have to. Is there any way you can make it bigger? Okay. All right. Okay. So sorry.
Right,
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, look at that grayscale. You know what that looks like? That looks just like the Perlin noise pattern that is used to generate worlds in Minecraft. Because that's what happens to the Minecraft seed. That's what the seed is a key value for Perlin noise generator to work with. And then this bitmap is interpreted to eventually be the place in question, like the terrain in Minecraft. God, words. My brain is fried. And yep, there is most definitely a little red plus right there. I wouldn't like calling it a cross because that gives too much validity to what these idiots have to say, even though that's exactly what it is.
X has which way?
And ironically, the Christian cross isn't actually a cross. It's an elongated shape that technically isn't one when you think about it. But it just got that name, elongated because of the shape of people. Yeah.
With what I got. Okay, what you're looking at, you'll see some faint white dots at that end. Okay.
Really? Faint white dots. Yeah, I see them. So what?
You see how they are right there?
Yep,
Thank
yep.
you. All right, now go up to the other picture. Okay, now you'll go back to
See more white dots.
See
Okay.
more white dots. That is a bomb crater about 60 meters across. Okay, sounds like a good
60 meters across. What? Where do you fuckers learn to speak?
story, right? So in 2005, we get a report from somebody with an observation. One of our contacts in Turkey said, I could have sworn I just watched an F-16 drop a 500-pound bomb. Well, they didn't say how big, but they dropped a bomb on there because they saw the explosion on the mountaintop. And we were afraid at that point that they were trying to destroy the Ark.
I just facepalmed, unironically, because my fucking God, how ridiculous do you have to be? How ridiculous can this be? How stupid do you have to be? Just what the fuck?
So now then, again, I hate to leave this out, but I'm going to leave out the name of the general that gave us the information. But
Yeah, because we got whole military connections going on here.
he had attended a Bible study that my pastor had given, and
How convenient. He's a religious nut.
he was the only point of contact we had. So we asked for information, and he said, okay, here's what they're telling me. They have dropped a 500-pound guided munition into the onto the mountaintop because there were PPK guerrillas up there, which if you go to the top of that mountain, you know there's nothing that lives up there. That
Right.
is the most hostile environment I can think of.
That's a good excuse. So we had to bomb the guerrillas.
Yeah, I was on the North Pole one time.
Christ, just conspiracy art bullshit. I'm sorry, but that's the only way to describe it.
It was more comfortable to live than the top of that mountain.
Yeah.
Okay. But the problem that they had is that this bomb dropped and it hit. Apparently, go back to that picture if you would. Okay, blow it up.
I can't keep blowing it up.
Okay, that's fine. Just whatever.
Okay.
Let it fill the screen.
So they dropped a bomb, and
Okay. Well, apparently that their purpose.
Note that apparently the monitor feed that they get, that Hovind gets, shows himself like them as well. Meaning that when Hovind is reading during his videos, that's why he's straining so hard, because he's looking at it the exact same way we see it. He doesn't even just have a dedicated screen for his bullshit.
This was not to destroy it, but to figure out what they were looking at.
break the ice away.
Yeah, well, kind of. What it would do is send shocks. You'll see if you look at that, if you could open it all the way up to the full, close us out. And put
That's
that
what
on.
I'm saying. It's causing me glitches back here.
Oh, I see.
Anyway, the people saw it earlier.
Okay, all right, okay. Well, what you're going to notice is there's a string of white dots moving away from it.
Yeah.
Okay, and they're parallel.
Right.
Now, if you get on Google Earth and look at that same spot, okay, you're going to see that those dots, they're no longer there. They're long gone. They only lasted there. But this was taken with a spot satellite photo a couple of weeks after the blast. And what you're going to see there is each of those white dots is about 120 feet apart. Okay, and there's two rows of them moving away from the center of the blast. Well, so we had to sit and think for a while about what those white dots were. Okay, now let me explain something about bombs when they go off.
Oh my fucking God. You know, I wish the dude would say some bullshit about the F-15 so I could call him a lying asshole with the most vitriol I can possibly pull up, given how much I love the F-16. But so far, he's staying clear of that subject.
He basically create a pressure.
And at least he mentioned an actual aircraft that I believe Turkey did import. Wrong window. Hang on. There we go. I'm certain they have it. Turkey operates the third largest F-16 fleet globally, second to NATO, with over 230 aircraft in service. Backbone of Turkish Air Force and consists of a mix of upgraded Block 30, 40, and 50 variants. Nice. Love the F-16. Granted, it is single engine, but it is designed to be affordable, and my God, does it have the performance that you would want out of a vehicle that you could, one, import like that, and two, would be single engine.
Okay, they create a high pressure system around them. A box like structure would channel that perfectly as the shock wave moves through the ship. The high pressure wave would force all of the.
They ain't the only ones who need to take a nap. I got to completely reboot after this. Good God.
To try to find an escape route. I believe.
So you're saying they're using F-16s to drop precision hyperbaric munitions? Yeah, right.
Those are the air ducts, that the ventilation system shafts within the arc. And when the pressure wave came through, it blew the snow up through those things and created those little white plumes along there, which disappeared quick.
They're bombing Noah's Ark, and grainy satellite imagery is showing snow that's been blown out of the air ducts. But this guy is totally military. He says it, so he is. Boy, I wish Kent Hovind knew anything about my early 20s. He might be surprised.
Yeah. And but they gave us basically an outline of how big that is, a 6-to-1 ratio. So I started counting up those little white dots. And as I said, on Google Earth, I could figure out that superimposing it over the Google Earth image, I figured out they're roughly.
Oh, the Google Earth image that you can't actually see anything on? Sorry. Yeah, that one.
20 feet apart. And that made the total about almost 1,100 feet. Now, it's impossible to say, because I don't know where the shafts began or ended in the thing. So I don't know, but it looks like the structure's at least 1,100 feet.
Which bases the Sumerian cubit, not the Egyptian cubit.
Yeah. Now, the one of the ministers that we talked to when we addressed this issue said, "Well, it looks like the ark's a lot bigger." And he says, "Well, it's interesting. We found this Sumerian cubit rod, and it seems to correlate with that, and that would mean it was roughly 1.17 meters long for a cubit." Okay. Now, I did kind of a mathematical reconstruct on it, assuming that 1 cubic foot of pine, Douglas fir specifically is what I selected, was 35 feet, 35 pounds a square foot. Okay, cubic foot. So having used that estimate, that would make that structure, assuming it had the standard T structures in it and whatnot, and probably the walls were at least 1 of their cubits thick. Okay. And
oh, Tyler, that's an easy one, and Kent won't like the answer because the moon pools didn't exist. Oh, wait. Kent said they do, so we're wrong. Damn it.
And by the way, one of the other things that I'll say about this in there, the flooring must have.
You know, that's a tell that someone's making up shit when randomly in telling the story, they go, oh, and by the way. What it is that they're listening to themselves orate and they don't think the story is convincing. So they're going to add in some random factoid that instantly is an attempt to make things sound more credible. This is a thing I notice all the time with creationist garbage. With liars like this in general, of course, but especially with creationists. And if you listen to our dear departed friend, chemist, auto mechanic, mid-husband, John Morris Pendleton, he did that a lot.
have been at least 10 feet thick, maybe longer, thicker than that. Okay.
Right, so 10-foot thick floors. That's really efficient use of space.
Because the you mentioned your 200-foot waves.
Right.
You heard of the Edmunds Fitzgerald, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the 200-foot waves in the calm ass incident. Also, did you say the Edmund Fitzgerald? I'm going to take a risk and reverse this just a hair and see if we hear that correctly.
You mentioned your 200-foot waves.
Right.
You heard of the Edmunds Fitzgerald, right?
The Edmunds Fitzgerald, ladies and gentlemen. The Edmunds Fitzgerald. Yes, I love that song by Gordon's Lightfoot. May he rest in peace. Wreck of the Edmunds Fitzgerald.
Right. Mm-hmm. You know what happened? It broke.
No, actually, we don't know precisely what happened. We know the condition of the wreck and can presume what had occurred, but no, we don't actually know the precise failure mode of the Edmund Fitzgerald. It is split in two. So is Titanic. But we understand the failure mode of Titanic better than Edmund Fitzgerald. It's fascinating shit.
In half
Right.
because of the fact that the two waves caused a split in the center.
Right.
Okay.
One of several valid models. No, I'm not doubting the models here. I'd accept that one just as fine. But they're kind of up in the air on which exact one of the models for the final stress, overstress moment of the Edmund Fitzgerald is the correct one. And he's just cementing on one.
That structure had to be built to withstand that. So that's part of my reasoning for the my estimation of 100,000 tons of material to build that.
So 1,100 feet long. That's the size of an aircraft carrier?
Yes.
Okay.
Size. Oh, it's the size of an aircraft carrier now, yeah? You've heard of the USS Enterprise? Well, get a load of Noah's Ark. It, too, had 8 nuclear reactors. Yeah.
A modern one or
Modern one.
Modern
one.
Oh, World War II, because that's the only option. There's the modern world and World War II. By the way, the modern world stopped existing in like the 80s. That term is actually strictly a mid-century term. We're well past that now. I forget the name of the exact term we're in, but it isn't modern anymore. Fun fact.
The Gerald Ford would be about that.
Although in the general slang use, yeah, we're going to call it modern, just to refer to that concept of things not being old. So, yeah.
A modern one or
modern one?
Modern
one. The Gerald Ford would be.
Oh, yeah, so of course it's going to be the Gerald Ford class. By all convenience, it's going to be, as big as the current top-tier aircraft carrier being produced by the U.S. government. Yeah, totally. Go on down to Newport News, Virginia. Right next to the Gerald Ford class being constructed, you can find Noah's fucking Ark. Yeah.
About that.
Okay. Well. Interesting.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow, he sounded like Jaren in the Flat Earth documentary. Interesting.
Brother, how do people get a hold of you if they want more on this? Or what's your
it's gone right now. I
didn't pay the bill. That's what happened.
Lack of interest, to be honest. I mean, some people are interested in it, but I've told this story 100 times, maybe 1,000 times to anybody that would listen. And most people are like, oh, yeah, that's nice. Okay. Most people are just don't have the fascination for it.
Okay, so this ark is under 100 feet of ice. Several times they've had droughts or dry spells, and part of it was exposed. A corner was exposed,
Yeah,
right?
little bits and pieces. I think 2004 was the last.
Okay, on the subject of the whole modern thing, postmodern is one, information age, digital age. Of course, Anthropocene is the general term. Contemporary history referring to the most current stuff, since modern is, and it is referring to mid to late 20th century kind of stuff. Yeah, it's Modern originally meant current now, but historians locked it to a specific era roughly 1500 to 1945, depending on the model. So even my understanding is actually late for that. So it gets etymologically fascinating. Then again, this is what ChatGPT pulled from a couple of sources, so I'm not about to go into detail on that. It's not worth doing a deep dive in at this point because I'm not that interested. Beyond cursory bringing it up and stuff, but it creates an interesting thought when you realize that modern is a time period that we did kind of move out of in effect, but we keep using the term. Language is fun. Chronology is fun. The way we classify things amuses me.
Last time that there was a significant amount of it shown.
You want to tell what pitch is? God said, cover the ark with pitch.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Oh my fucking God. How stupid are you people? I know what that is, but your biblical morons over there in the audience don't know what pitch is. You know, there's a thing called the internet. You can just look it up.
Here's our theory. And for those...
Whoa. Your theory on what pitch is? It's a tar-like substance.
Of you that have attended the
Sorry, I got a fucking sore throat. A storm came through and it brought all the plant orgies from the Midwest over here. So I'm having, sinus problems and throat issues and shit. Goddamn plants. So I'm coughing a lot, but like, dude, I mean, seriously, pitch. It's a tar-like substance used as insulation, as binding, as sealant. Pitch. You get the term pitch black. Pitch is a very black substance because it's a very heavy hydrocarbon. It burns. That's what like some old torches were coated in. The cloth and the fabric material had pitch, soaked in there, and you wrap it up and burns for a fucking long time. Yeah. There's also the pitch experiment that proved that it's technically a liquid, with it having drops every like 30 years or something, a drop of pitch. Yeah, it's a really cool experiment. Just slow as hell moving liquid. And like this is a legit slow moving liquid, not like the bullshit where people used to think glass was a slow moving liquid because of poorly designed old windows. Yeah.
The arc mock-up over at in Kentucky. You'll be told...
Oh, fuck that arc and fuck the protest coming up. I won't be involved in that because it's run by assholes.
That the arc can't exist today because it would have rotted away a long time. Well, what's interesting is that the word for pitch is kafar, okay, in the Bible. And apparently...
Well, I mean, pitch isn't even really made, though. It's like procured. Like most of its properties are like, let me double check this. We're just doing all kinds of on the fly research today because fuck it. Pitch is a highly viscous, dark-colored material derived from organic sources, primarily used in construction, waterproofing, and as a binder in various industrial applications. Pitch is a viscoelastic polymer that can be either naturally occurring or synthetically produced, characterized by high viscosity and amorphous nature. It lacks a defined crystalline structure. Pitch can appear solid, but it flows like a liquid over extended periods due to its unique molecular structure, on and on and on. So yeah, you can synthesize this stuff, but I mean, it's a pretty reasonable range of compounds, if you will. It's like various. What is oil?
This is not a normal Hebrew word, but is actually taken from some other source, possibly Hittite, okay? And that it is a word that the Jews just sort of transliterated into the Bible. And so when they were writing the Septuagint, they said, well, what is this thing? What is this coffer? So they go down to a boat dock and they said, what do you guys cover your ships with? And they said, oh, well, we use creosote, pitch. Okay, well, that must be what that word means. Okay. Well, my pastor, Ed, the expedition leader, had a theory that this was actually relating to the Hittite term for copper, and that's means that this was probably using a copper emollient to cover it with, which remarkably is still used to this day to protect ships.
Right.
Okay, so it is entirely possible and probably likely that the Ark is completely intact, sitting there ready to be discovered. And there's one other thing that if I could go back to the picture of the rock, the actual rock that was up there, it'd be up toward the top.
It had the foot on it and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Telling them to go forth and multiply.
yeah,
Have to shrink it down. There's a. Oh,
I'm past it. Okay.
Yeah, it really should have been a PowerPoint slide, so Kent could have done Alt-DV and clicked 69,420. Yeah.
Okay, that's right there. All right. What's interesting is right in the bottom left-hand corner is, there you go, yeah, on there, is a chisel mark. I know in this image
Polyphonics. Yeah, I'm hanging in there, just tired as all hell.
of it being so small, it's hard to see. But it looks to me like when in the actual photo, I still have all this stuff.
If the government didn't raid my house and take my photos of Noah's Ark stones, yeah, with the giant Monty Python foot on it. Yep.
Looks like they used a flathead chisel of some kind and did a side stroke. And then there's a look like
if you stay the night at DAL 3 nights in a row, Ken will show you the side stroke.
Dotted an eye with using kind of a diamond shaped awl of some kind. Okay. I personally believe that is Noah's signature. Okay. And whenever I personally think that the mountain itself, when they were built, the Ark itself, when it was being built, was probably subcontracted to some extent.
Sure.
And that whenever it was being inspected by Noah for the boat, he probably looked at it and put that mark on it. So my personal theory is if ever we get inside that thing, every beam in that thing will have to carry that mark on it.
Noah inspected it.
Really? So, okay, so if I may go on a bit of a random ass ramble for a moment, he's sitting here saying that much like Harland Wolff shipbuilders, as an example, every single component was stamped for the vessel it was going to be a part of, or in this case, was stamped for Noah's approval for the one vessel it'll be a part of. Now, I bring this up because many of you may know of the Titanic switch theory, in that the vessel that actually sunk April 15th of 1912 was not Titanic, but was instead Olympic, the slightly older sister, which had already had a couple of incidents in its, I think at that point, like 2-year career, maybe a year and some change. Actually, I'm not entirely sure. I forget because they were built beside each other, so I think it may have only been about a year career already for Olympic. And it's a ridiculous idea that the old ship that was barely a year, 2 years old was destroyed, and all that shit happening, and that Titanic like the ship that went on as Olympic till the 30s when it was scrapped was actually Titanic. Long load of bullshit. There's all these things you can find of people saying this and saying that. None of it add up from the nature of the construction of the ships because they weren't exactly identical. All the records. But the biggest clue is that the parts that were saved from Olympic when it was scrapped, like the dining room, the entire first class dining room is in a, I forget where, but it makes up the dining place of an establishment, I want to say in Ireland. Could be in Southampton, though. Yeah, it's so fucking wild. All the parts happen to have the number 400 on them, which was Olympic's identifying number, with Titanic being hull 401. Components recovered from Titanic that happen to still have any markings legible on them say 401. And amazingly, in recent imagery of the ship, because remember it was discovered in 85 and it gets disintegrating at a pretty rapid pace. You can still see the damn paint on the side saying clearly Titanic. It's kind of amazing. You have to kind of know what to look for, but yeah, you don't notice where they had repainted over Olympic or anything, or any evidence of a quick refresh job that people would have obviously noticed. It's insanity. But I bring that up as a chance to elucidate on some little factoid I know and just more conspiratorial garbage that's come across my radar. And to point out that this analogy that, oh, Noah is sitting there like Harlan and Wolf just stamping up, this gets the Noah seal of approval. We're going to sink the fake arc. We're going to sink Arc 1, and we're going to really go out on Arc 2 Electric Boogaloo, but we're going to say that's the first, and that's the only one remember.
Yeah, inspected and approved.
He might have taken 400 years to build that boat. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
So, okay. Well,
Right.
folks.
Yeah, a few obvious ones and some that aren't so obvious without being able to look at the blueprints and stuff. One of the most notable ones is the enclosed deck, which was later added to Olympic after Titanic sinking. Not, just by virtue of, hey, they upgraded Olympic. And then Britannic was really special in her design, but of course World War One started. She became a hospital ship and got sunk in the Adriatic Sea.
Atheist, the Bible's true.
Piss off, Kent.
The flood happened, and the judgment's going to happen, and you better get ready for it.
Oh yeah, threaten me some more, Kent. I totally get off on it.
Anything else, brother, you want to share?
No, I thank you very much for this platform.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry I'm not prepared. I have given this lecture before, but
I can't recall having heard anything like that, but that would totally make sense using one of the spare Titanic screws because it's an Olympic class fitting. Why not use it when you need it?
with a lot more preparation time.
We just decided about 2 hours ago to do this.
Yes,
Amen.
exactly.
All right.
I'm sure you did.
Now,
All right.
do you want somebody to try to rebuild your website, or?
If anybody's interested.
He got the HTML code, he just needs the host.
I got the HTML code. That's how you know Joseph doesn't know shit about anything. No one who does this kind of shit says HTML code. They're so up their ass about throwing the word code constantly.
Okay, call Joseph. I don't know what he's talking about, brother.
Okay.
Hypertext markup language, Kent. A scripting language, I believe, invented by Tim Berners-Lee. It'd have to be. He created the first web page, so I think he would write the code, the formatting code for it, which is how every single aspect of the web is handled in one facet or another, and is definitionally the World Wide Web.
All right. Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Certainly.
So, folks, get ready. Judgment's coming. Read 2 Peter chapter.
Unless it was a part that was slated as like a spare for Olympic that was put on Titanic, that would be like the only situation since Titanic only had the one voyage and that only made it most of halfway. Little incident happened.
3. Ignorant of the creation of the flood and the coming judgment of God. See you tomorrow night for open mic Q&A. Thank you. Bye.
Spirit.
Also, I want to point out that something with Kent. Sorry, I'm looking on the Titanic screw thing. Apparently, it's a widely debated point. Historians and experts agree the two sister ships never swapped identities, insurance fraud, blah blah blah. Propeller shafts or individual blades were transferred between ships during construction and repairs. Some records show this, so that's interesting. But yeah, tying to the fraud attempt, yeah, with the vast majority of components showing the proper hull number, and definitively the parts from Olympic showing the proper hull number to this day. If you were to pull off one of those plates, it makes sense. What I was going to say before I got talking about something far more interesting than Hovind, because Titanic's fucking awesome. And the Olympic shipping and really ocean liners in general are pretty damn fascinating. Rather love them. Sad there's only one left in the world. Cruise ships are not ocean liners, and ocean liners are not cruise ships. And if you conflate the two, you don't know jack about diddly squat. No offense to my audience, some people may make that as an honest mistake, but if you get educated for even a moment on them, no, I don't wish to update 4K YouTube downloader. Thank you. I'll update it later. God damn, interrupting my fucking stream. Yeah. Yeah. Ocean liners, cruise ships, not the same. Anyway, I was talking about Hovind. He you'll notice unless I've missed something, but usually my cohorts like Tyler and the like will update me on these things because they'll have called in. Hovind hasn't been doing the actual call-ins. It hasn't so much been an open mic as it's just been answering his sycophants because he's tired of getting his ass handed to him in open discussion. And it's beautiful. So yeah. That's about that though. Really don't have anything else to add. I'm fucking tired. This was over 2 hours, so I hope y'all enjoy this little return to form. Yeah, I too want to go on Queen Mary 2, but yeah, it's fucking expensive. And that's just getting to, from New York to like London, what or over that way or wherever. Where does she go? Well, I mean, she takes multiple trips. She does a world circuit every year. But coming from the U.S. to Europe, it's like, damn, what you gonna do once you're there? But yeah. Anyway, my throat is fried. I'm fucking tired. Yeah, don't know what else to say. Y'all are cool. Hovind sucks. This new guy, total ass monkey. But y'all are awesome. But that being said, I am going to do that thing where I disappear, play some Guild Wars, go to sleep, wake up tomorrow, and do it all over again. Southampton, okay. Okay. Cool. I can do that. I'd like to do that. Man, we should do that. Just everybody get together and they'll have a whole goddamned atheist event on the Queen Mary 2. That'd be fucking awesome. But what are we gonna do once we reach Southampton? I don't know. Shit. But yeah, as I said, y'all are fucking awesome. Much love. Catch everyone next time.